Hello, good morning, everyone. And today we're going to be talking about spiritual discernment. And I'm going to tell you a cautionary tale about why it's so important to develop spiritual discernment before you start working with the public and start doing work for the public. Blessings, healings, and things of that nature. It's safe to go ahead and do those for anyone because we are all worthy of healing, growing, blessings, and things of that nature. But when you do things like curse, hex, jinx for other people, you should really, even if you're getting paid, develop your spiritual discernment before you do these things, as I previously stated. Now, I'm not going to give names. I'm not going to say what this person actually did, but I am going to tell you how it all went down. This individual A who went to individual B to try to combat what they believe individual C was doing to them. Now, whether or not this was the person's perception and individual C was actually working against them or not is not of significance here. What is of significance is that this young practitioner who had not been practicing for very long and had absolutely no spiritual discernment, and that's why, again, I will emphasize how important it is to develop spiritual discernment and how important it is that if you work with your ancestors and the different energies, whatever you may call them, that you yourself follow the advice given by them, okay? This young lady was warned, individual A was warned not to work against individual C. So happens to be because individual B, who was paying for the work, was not completely truthful about the situation, okay? But individual A, having needed the money, went ahead and proceeded to work against individual C and was warned on multiple occasions to stop, to give back what was being stolen, what was being siphoned from individual C for individual B. Now, individual A took it as far as to try to have individual B cast a destiny swap on individual C, so much that the individual C, the one that was paying for the work, proceeded to do so right in front of individual C's house after being warned, both of them being warned not to do it. Now, it took less than 2 weeks, and I'm going to tell you what happened to individual A, not individual B, because we're not going to talk about individual B because she was the one paying for the work. Obviously, she had no spiritual discernment of her own or no spiritual connections, and that's why she went to spiritual individual A to do the spiritual work. In less than 2 weeks, first of all, individual A lost a long-term relationship she had with someone very violently, okay? Then, and I'll continue, she lost her dogs who she loved incredibly. She just adored these animals, 2 of them, lost them, and was warned again. That was the second warning. Losing her partner was the first one. The second warning was losing her animals. And the third warning came in the form of losing her apartment. Okay? So now, not only has her relationship ended, not only has she lost her loved pets, she has also now become homeless. And on top of all that, to seal the deal, this young lady proceeded to try to unalive herself. And there were authorities involved in all that. And now she has returned to doctrine. She has returned to organized religion. Because in her opinion, I guess taking a different path, the left hand or the right hand path, was not for her. But what she forgets was that these were all warnings telling her to take back what she had done and give back what she had siphoned. That was not rightfully hers. Because many people forget that we are just instruments. The power is not ours. Our ability to create or destroy something is not ours. We work with beings who are the source of our power, and they are, just as they are spiritual laws that govern them, there are spiritual laws that govern what we can do to another and what we can't do, okay? And whether or not the actions taken are justified, or whether or not we were warned against committing these spiritual atrocities against another, okay? And destiny swap is a spiritual atrocity. It's considered the lowest, to me anyway, form of magic, because you don't know what anyone has had to go through in order to get to where they're at, and you have no right to take from them what they have achieved in life, okay? So that being said, yes, spiritual discernment is a very real thing that needs to be developed before you start offering your services to people. Without spiritual discernment and without the backing of your spiritual team and your ancestors, now you're fighting a battle on both ends, because they warned you not to do it, so they're not going to stand behind you, okay? That's bullshit that they're going to stand behind you regardless. That is absolute crap. They're not going to stand behind you, and now you have what I tend to call the spiritual police, those that govern the laws of what can and what will happen, working against you, trying to teach you a lesson. In other words, you will reap what you sow.